So we're going to call this 7.3 part 2. We're going to talk about the dividing parts today. So dividing rational expressions. So dividing rational expressions is super similar to multiplying. We're doing the same thing. It's just one extra step before. Because we've talked about what happens when you are dividing a fraction by a fraction. Multiplied by the reciprocal, which another word is keep, change, flip. So we keep the first one, change to multiplication, and flip the second fraction. So we're just doing this one step, this keep, change, flip before, and then it turns it right back into a multiplication problem like we did in the rest of the examples. So let's look at example 5 from the notes. So whenever you see dividing, that tells you you have to keep, change, flip. So we keep the first one, change to multiplication, and flip the second one. So now that I have a multiplication problem, what would I do? Who watched the video on Thursday? So we want to factor. You want to factor each part. So we're going to factor the top here, if it can be. The 7x can't be factored, but we want to factor the bottom, factor, and factor. We want to factor everything and see what's in common on the top and on the bottom. So taking out the GCF would be the same. So looking at my denominator in the first fraction here, 2x minus 10. Can I factor this anyway? Take out the 2. We're going to take out the GCF. So I have 7x on top. That can't be factored. We're just going to leave it there. And then I'm going to take out the 2 on the bottom. So it turns into x what? Minus 5. So we took out the GCF here. So then times, how could I factor the numerator here? Find what our two factors of 30 are that add to negative 11. Negative 5 and negative 6, awesome. So this is going to factor into what? X minus 5 and x minus 6, perfect. And then in the bottom, how can I factor this? So take out the GCF, which is what? X. So x times x minus 6. So now we want to see what's in common on the top and on the bottom, because those will cancel out. X minus 5s we have in common, and x minus 6. Anything else? The x. I have an x on top and an x on the bottom, so those will cancel too. So what am I left with? 7 over 2. That's it. 7 over 2. But what do I have to do when I cancel something out? Let's see who really watched the video on Thursday. Perfect. Everything that I canceled, I have to set not equal to 0 and say that in part of my answer. I have to state the domain. So I would say x minus 5 does not equal 0. What else? X minus 6 does not equal 0, and x does not equal 0. So then we just solve each one. I would add 5 to both sides. So x does not equal 5. We add 6 to both sides, bless you. So x does not equal 6, and x does not equal 0. So I have to say these three things here. X does not equal 5, does not equal 6, and does not equal 0, which you can say all at once. X does not equal 0, 5, and 6. So this is also part of the answer. Yep, so every pair that got crossed out, because remember, it has to be the same on the top and on the bottom, you have to set that not equal to 0. We have to state that in the domain. All right, let's look at example 6. We're going to do example 6 the same way, but On the right side, it's not a fraction. We're dividing by a whole number. Awesome, I can put it over 1. So then I'm going to keep change flip, just like I would before. So 6x squared plus x minus 15 over 4x squared. So we keep the top, change to multiplication, and flip the second one. So it now becomes 1 over 3x squared plus 5x. Don't forget to flip the second fraction. That's probably the most common mistake that people do. They'll change to multiplication but forget to flip. So that 3x squared plus 5x over 1 becomes 1 over the 3x squared plus 5x. So we keep, change, flip. What would I do next? Factor it. Do I have two factors of negative 15 that add to... Oh, I can't do that here, can I? I gotta multiply the first times the last. Anytime you start with a number that is not 1, you want to check and see if you have a GCF to take out. If you don't have a GCF, you have to multiply the first times the last. So it is 6 times negative 15. Negative 90. Do I have two factors of negative 90 that add to 1? Negative 9 times 10. So this would factor into, I'm going to write it on the side here, x minus 9 and x plus 10. But what do I have to do? Divide by that 6. Since we started by multiplying, we have to remember to divide by the 6. Before I move it in front of the x, what do? Simplify the fraction. Can I simplify 9 over 6? It simplifies to 3 over 2. So what do I do with the... Negative 3 over 2. We'll just keep the minus in the middle there. What do I do with the 2 in the denominator that can't be simplified? Move it in front of the x. So the 6 doesn't go out front. We have to divide by the 6. And then simplify the fractions. Can I simplify 10 over 6? Sure? By 2. So divide them both by 2, we get 5 over 3. What do I do with the denominator? Put it in front of that x. So my answer here would be 2x minus 3 times 3x plus 5. So that's what we get when we factor. So I'm going to write that on top here. 2x minus 3 times 3x plus 5. Can I do anything with the 4x squared? Nope, we're just going to leave it there. Times, can I factor the denominator on the right side now? How? I can take out an x. So I'm going to change this to be 1 over, take out an x, and what am I left with? 3x plus 5. Is everything factored? Yep. So let's see. Do I have anything I can cancel out? The 3x plus 5. If you have something that's the same on the top and on the bottom, you can cancel them out. But it has to be on the top and the bottom. If you had two 3x minus 5s on the bottom, they don't cancel. It has to be one on the top and one on the bottom for it to cancel. So anything else cancel? Nope. So let's just multiply it out together now. What do I have left on the top? 2x minus 3. What would I have on the bottom now? 4x squared times x, which would be what? 4x cubed. Awesome. 4x to the third power. I started off with 2 x's on the bottom times another x. That would be x to the third power. 4x cubed. We can't divide. We would just leave it here. Like, this is as much as we just cross out whatever is in common, and then we're done. But what else do I have to do?
X does not equal 0
What did I cross out? 3x plus 5. So I have to set the 3x plus 5 not equal to 0. Only what got crossed out do we set not equal to 0. So subtract 5. So 3x is does not equal to negative 5. What would I do next? Divide by 3. So what does x not equal? Negative 5 over 3. So we got to make sure we put that in our answer. X does not equal negative 5 over 3. We can do 27. What should I do first? Keep, change, flip. So we keep the first fraction, 32x cubed y over y to the 8th power. Change what? Change to multiplication and flip the second fraction. So it flips to 8x to the 4th power over y to the 7th power. So we keep the first, change to multiplication, and flip the second. So here we don't really have anything that can factor. Everything's being multiplied. But let's see if we can cancel out or combine things maybe. What would you want to do first?
Take out one y and a y.
Okay, I can cancel out a y on top here with what?
Another y.
With another y on the bottom. So how many y's would I be left with on the bottom, just on the left side? 7. I just took one away. If I had the same thing on the top and on the bottom, I can just take one out. Anything else that I have the same on the top and the bottom now? Nope. So let's just combine our like terms. What am I doing between the 32 and the 8? Multiplying. What's 32 times 8? 256. What am I doing between the x to the 3rd power and x to the 4th power? Add the exponents because we're multiplying. Perfect. So how many x's do I have on top now? 7. So it changes to x to the 7th power. Over, how many y's do I have on the bottom? 14. So y to the 14th power, because we just add 7 plus 7. Because we're technically just multiplying straight across. Multiply the tops together, multiply the bottoms. We already canceled out everything that can, so we're good there. What else do I have to do? I have to set what does not equal to 0. Y, because I canceled out the y, so y does not equal 0. All right, let's do 34. So you could either start by factoring, or you can start by doing the keep, change, flip, because we're dividing. So anytime you see divide, we want to keep, change, flip. So it doesn't really matter. Let's factor first. Do I have two factors of negative 40 that add to negative 3? Awesome. Negative 8 and 5. So this is going to factor into what? X minus 8 and x plus 5. Perfect. On the bottom here, do I have two factors of negative 20 that add to 8? $10 and negative 2. Perfect. So this would factor into x plus 10 and x minus 2. Now let's look at the right side. On the top, do we have two factors of 40 that add to 13? 8 and 5. Perfect. So what would it factor into? X plus 8 and x plus 5. And then on the bottom, do we have two factors of 20 that add to 12? 2 and 10. So x plus 2 and x plus 10. Now, since we factored first, we can't forget we're going to keep, change, flip. So we keep the top. So that would be x minus 8 times x plus 5 over x plus 10 times x minus 2. We change to multiplication, and we flip the other one. So what our factors on the bottom are now going to be our factors on the top. So x plus 2 times x plus 10. And then our factors on the top are now going to go to the bottom. So x plus 8 times x plus 5. Does everybody see what I did there? So now let's cancel what's in common. So what could I cancel? X plus 5, because I have 1 on the top and 1 on the bottom. Anything else? X plus 10, perfect. So what am I left with on the top? X minus 8 times x plus 2. And on the bottom? X minus 2 and x plus 8. What else do I have to do? Do what? I don't have to FOIL. We can leave our answer like this. But if I crossed stuff out, what do I have to do? Set them not equal to 0. So what's going to get set not equal to 0? Yes. X plus 5 does not equal 0, and x plus 10 does not equal 0. We're going to solve both of them. So what does x not equal? Negative 5 and negative 10, yep. Because we would just subtract 5 for the first one, subtract 10 for the second. So x does not equal negative 5 and negative 10.